Hey everyone, before we get this episode started, this is Zach in post-production. This episode was recorded about 2 weeks ago, and before we get started off, I just wanted to give you an update on Kayla's team, Neuchâtel Volleyball. They are currently playing in the Swiss Cup. They won their round of 16 match, and their next match, according to the official website, is on January 29th, as the quarterfinals of the Swiss Cup. Alright, back to the episode.
Kenny's in trouble. He's going to run. He's going to get the first down.
Don't sleep on those legs. Oh, he faked the slide. Sauce time. The Pitt Panthers have pulled a stunning upset over the West Virginia Mountaineers.
And Johnny Majors gets a ride across the field.
Hello everyone, welcome back to a special episode of Simplify Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Kaminsky. I'm joined tonight by returning guest and friend of the show, Kayla Lund. Kayla, how are you doing tonight? Well, it's tonight for you. It's the day for me. 6-hour time difference can do that. All right, go.
Yeah, doing great. Yeah, 7 p.m. Just got home from practice. Time difference is always tough, but yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me back on.
Hey, you're always welcome back on the pod. For our listeners who aren't, big followers of Pitt Volleyball, Kayla played for Pitt between 2017 and 2021. Do I have that right?
Yeah, technically 2022 with COVID, I think, but it was like the 2021-2022 season.
Right.
I think.
So I wanted to start this interview off talking about your first professional season overseas. So for those of you who don't know, Kayla has been playing professional volleyball in Switzerland for a club, Neuchâtel. And I guess my first question about it is, well, how is it, first of all? And second off, are there a lot of Americans playing overseas, or is it mainly, players from Europe or other countries over the world?
Okay. So they're almost all American pro. If you want to be a pro and you're American, you have to come overseas for now. The past 2 years, there has been the first ever pro league that has started. However, it's only 6 weeks long. So for now, there's just not a substantial enough league yet. However, in the next 2 years, I believe 2024, there's supposed to be a year-long pro team that's starting. There's a couple kind of in the works, so we'll see how that turns out. I think all of us would love if that is really successful. But otherwise, if you are American and you want to play professionally year-round, you have to come overseas. So even our girls on the Olympic team, everybody, they're playing over here in a different country. Yeah. And it's not just in Europe, it's all over as well.
Right, okay. So your first year, and we were talking about this a little bit before off air, it starts with the Super Cup, right?
Yep.
So then your first experience playing professional volleyball is this Europe-wide cup playing for a gold medal, right? That's crazy.
Pretty much. We had some preseason matches before that, but to start the actual Swiss season, it was the Super Cup match.
So I mean, this is like playing the World Series even before the season starts for you, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like having the conference championship right after preseason going into the conference, and then there'll be one at the end as well. But it was really interesting.
Well, either way, you guys won that gold medal. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, let's talk regular season. So, Neuchâtel's undefeated, and I only want to ask you as a question because I had to find the scores on this random third-party website.
Yeah.
But that's only undefeated in Swiss league play, right?
Yes.
Because you have 2 losses to Turk Hava Yolan, if I have that correct.
Yes. Yep, Turkish Airlines. So Swiss play, yeah, we're first in the league. Neuchâtel has been the best team in Switzerland the past couple years. That's what drew me to this team, is because I knew how competitive and how good of a team they were and dominant they were. And then the games that we just recently lost, they were actually 2 right before Christmas break. So there's also it's called CEV Cup. This is actually a different one I didn't tell you about before.
Okay.
This is one that involves teams from all over. So this is outside of the Swiss league. So it actually basically think of this maybe as like the NCAA tournament, but it goes on in the middle of season. It's so your Swiss games or your country games and the NCAA tournament are overlapping throughout the year, which is crazy. But basically, the top league, it's called Champions League. We are actually in Champions League. However, for money reasons, we had to drop down to CEV, which is still like a really, really competitive league. Again, this is like the NCAA tournament, pretty much. So basically, to be in Champions League, you have to be first in your league to make it, or like first also, I think, in your country or something. So that's like best of the best. We made that, but in order to play at home, you have to have some gym requirements. In order to have the gym requirements, it would have been like $1 million process, and that just wasn't going to happen. So we're in CEV, and CEV is like all the second place teams. So we dropped down into that. And our pool, so we got to buy the first round. But then our second draw was against the number 3 team in the world at the moment, which is Turkish Airlines. So, which was a really cool experience. I absolutely loved playing them. I think it was really cool to see how, like, individually, how I matched up against all of these girls are Olympic girls. We have Maddie Kingdon, who's an Olympic USA member, national team player. We have 2 Canadian team national team players, probably one of the best right sides in the world. And then a bunch of Turkish Olympic team members and national team members. So it was really, really fun to play against them, honestly, just to see how we're a very young team. So just to see how we matched up was really cool as a team, but also individually to kind of see how I could do against players like that. So it was fun in that aspect. We got swept both times, which honestly hasn't happened to me in a while. I don't remember the last time that happened, but so it was a really good learning experience. And we got to go to Turkey and be in Istanbul, which was sweet. So that was that.
And that's pretty cool. I had no idea that they were the number 3 team in the world. That's pretty high up there.
Yeah, it was kind of a crazy draw that we got, because we go from we did get a bye the first round, but you go from being in this top league to then dropping down, thinking you would probably get a pretty good pool. We didn't. Right. We did not, but that's okay.
So then, is this system sort of similar to European soccer?
Yeah.
Right. I don't know European soccer that well, but it seems like, they have the Champions League, then they have like the International Europe Leagues, and it's like that's just like parallel to what you guys have.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yes, anybody explain it to that knows soccer has said the same thing, so I think we're spot on.
So then, looking forward to the rest of your regular season, it's going to be 2 more games and then the Swiss Cup, if I had to guess, right?
I think so. Oh gosh, is it already that soon?
I'm seeing 2 matches coming up next week.
Yep. And then, Cup. Yeah.
There you go.
It's already going back. It's all coming so soon. We just got back from break, so we're like getting back into it. It's all coming very fast. But yeah, we have a game this weekend, game next weekend, and then cup match.
All right, I'll try and figure out a way to promote that on all of our media. I'll find like some sort of illegal stream and link that. Well, I'm glad to hear it's going well. So next I want to talk to you about Pitt Volleyball. But before we get to that, I listened back to our original interview we did before volleyball season, before football season, and you had like this Nostradamus like prediction for Pitt football, and in some terms you went something along the lines of, they're going to be good, they're going to win a bunch of games but lose some they shouldn't, and have a good bowl win, and that was pretty much spot on. So you might need to get like a gambling sponsorship, because you might know how to pick just sports in general.
Right? Right. I love sports, so who knows? Maybe one day you'll see me in there.
Yeah. So let's move to Pitt Volleyball. We talked before the regular season in our first interview, and would you agree that this regular season was sort of the Pitt standard?
Yeah.
So they were co-AC champions with Louisville, I believe.
Yep.
Right. So another AC championship shared with Louisville. They go into the postseason, into the tournament. They're a number 2 seed, hosting the first and second rounds for the second straight year. In those first 2 rounds, they sweep Colgate and BYU. They had beaten BYU earlier in the year. Around Sweet 16, they beat 3 seed Florida 3-1. Now, the first match I want to talk to you about is Pitt's Elite 8 matchup against number 1 Wisconsin, upsetting them in their field house. So for me watching, as a casual fan, this is one of the craziest matchups I've ever seen. I don't know if you watched it live or caught the highlights, but I'll let you give your thoughts on it first.
Yeah, I honestly think that this match should go down in like all of volleyball history as one of the best matches of all time. It absolutely, I think, is the best match of Pitt volleyball of all time, and like the biggest win of Pitt volleyball of all time. But as far as like volleyball history as a whole, I think that this is like could at least maybe be top 10, if not top 5, for like one of the best wins I think ever, just because of how high quality the volleyball was and how amazing the volleyball was. Also, the 5th set comeback, and that 5th set was just crazy. And then to do it at Wisconsin, the number 1 seed, the reigning champs, I think that also is a big thing. The reigning champs at home, like at the Wisconsin Fieldhouse, is just I could only imagine. I talked with a bunch of the girls after and with the coaches, and all of them said the energy that was in the Fieldhouse and in that atmosphere was unlike anything that they have ever experienced. So to be able to come out on top with that atmosphere is, I think, really, really impressive. And I wasn't able to watch the game live because it was 2 a.m. for me, and I would have totally stayed up, but we had a game for both for that game and the Final Four. We had a game the day after. So I sadly was not willing to sacrifice my sleep for some big games, but I watched them back and watched highlights and all of that stuff and talked with all the girls. So yeah, just really, really a cool win for them that I think they'll all obviously remember forever and look back on and be really proud of themselves.
So yeah, like you mentioned, I want to talk about that 5th set, which was just one of the craziest sets. Pitt, I believe, was up 11-4 early in that set.
Yeah.
At that point, the Fieldhouse is dead.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Wisconsin starts getting back into this game. The crowd of 8,000 starts like coming to life.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, the Pitt team has their backs against the wall. It's do or die, win or go home. And they still pull it out against that crowd with the crowd in their face, and just such an impressive 5th set performance.
Yeah.
Awesome's all I can say.
For sure. Like so gritty. So a really, really fun win.
I forgot to talk about this. In Pitt's second round matchup with BYU, Rachel Fairbanks had her second triple-double of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So first off, hands up, I actually didn't know that triple-doubles were a thing in volleyball. That's how I learned about it.
Uh-huh.
So her stats were 10 kills, 28 assists, and 13 digs, hitting 381. Insane stats on their own, but how often does a triple-double happen in volleyball?
They're very rare. So basically, in order to get a triple-double, your team has to be running a 6-2 offense, which basically that means that you have 2 setters and 2 right sides. So your setters will always be back row, and your right sides will always play front row. So they sub in for each other. Instead of having one setter play front row, you have always a right side and always a back row setter. And so you need 4 players that you need 2 setters and 2 right sides. Well, Rachel does both the right side and the setting in it. So instead of having 2 right sides and 2 setters, we have 1 setter, 1 right side, and 1 Rachel Fairbanks.
Okay.
Yeah, so when she's in the back row, she's setting. And when she's in the front row, she's hitting, which not a lot of players are able to play both positions. It's a really hard role to take on. So that's why it's very rare that you see triple doubles. And so when it happens, it's really cool. So then when she's in the back row, she's getting those assists. When she's in the front row, she's attacking. And then throughout both front and back row, she can get digs.
Okay, so
yeah.
Rachel is then playing this sort of hybrid position that allows her to accumulate those stats for a triple-double.
Yep.
It's cool as hell.
Yep. For regular attackers, like for me, if I were to get any assists, it would be because maybe a ball was like out of system and shanked to me, and I set somebody because the ball came right to me and the setter couldn't get to it. But she plays that other position as well.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, we have to talk about it. So, Pitt's Final Four match in their second straight Final Four against Louisville, who, if I remember correctly, were the national runner-ups to Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I watched this whole match from start to finish.
Yeah.
I think that Pitt did play pretty well throughout this match. It was just that fifth set, really, where it was Anna DeBeer and their libero, who I can't pull their name off the top of my head, but
Elena Scott.
Thank you, Elena Scott. Her and DeBeer just kind of went nuclear, took over the game. There was no defending that on Pitt's side. I mean, I don't know. They were pretty even through the first four sets. Louisville got hot late, and I think the only thing I have to say is, like, they're going to be back.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I don't think that you have, like, your final set like that, and you don't have that. I mean, even if it was like even if they had lost, let's say it was close, you would still obviously have that chip on your shoulder. But I know just being an athlete, everybody wants that fifth set back. That's one of those matches where you're like, hey, can we start this over? Like, can you give us like a 5 minutes to recoup and just let's start this one over? Like, please. So they're gonna be thinking about that for a long time. I get it. As an athlete, it's gonna haunt you for a while. I wish, like, I know if I were in their position, it would haunt me. I wish, like, and I tried to tell them all, like, you have to, like, think about the bigger picture of things, and they will eventually once time, like, heals. But you know, your mind is going to be stuck on that last set for a while and wanting it back and just hurting from it. So, but you know, the fact that they had Louisville was a crazy matchup because we've played them a bunch and have gone back and forth with them in the season. So up until I think the fifth set, it was great back and forth volleyball, like really high elite volleyball players just doing their thing. So it was still a really fun match to watch, and obviously super proud of them no matter what. But they're definitely gonna be letting that kind of motivate them for a little bit here.
I mean, we could also say, you know, that late in the tournament, Jelena Dalton wasn't healthy, and even looking at Louisville and say, hey, you got to play this again next year. We're going to get you next year.
Sure.
But overall, just another great season.
For sure.
You know, that another positive note is that Pitt had 4 All-Americans last year. Bazzario was one of them.
Yep.
Dalton was the other. I can't remember the other two.
I think it was Courtney, Bazzario, Serena Gray were first team. Valeria was second or third. And Rachel, second or third. I think those were the 4, actually.
And, you know, on top of that, 2 of them are going to be back. Rachel Fairbanks and Gomez are going to be back with Bazzario and Serena Gray moving on from the program. Yep.
Hopefully we'll see them out here or starting their pro seasons sometime soon.
Well, I mean, obviously they should look to go to Neuchâtel, go into another winning program right from Pitt.
I agree.
Well, that does it for me as far as questions I have. Do you have anything? No? Okay. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into this special episode of Simplify Podcast with Kayla Lund. I've been your host, Zach Kaminsky. You can follow our guest, Kayla Lund, at kayla.lund on Instagram. You can follow her professional volley club at NUC Volley on Instagram. If you like the pod, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter at SimplifiedPod. And just as a quick programming note, we are taking next week off as a sort of break after football season. With the season over, new episodes will return the first week in February. We're going to have another special off-season show planned for you with some more special guests before getting back into more football-based off-season content. And with that, we'll see you next time.
Sweet. Build a pit.